G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/EntitledParents video. Now, if you love me as much as I love you, you would mosey on over to that old like button and tackle it like Steve Owen would a crocodile. Maybe even chuck an Aussie flag down in the comments too. Now, with that out of the way, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some good content. Entitled Mum begs bride to be less happy on her wedding day. So let's preface this by saying this is my mum's story, not mine. I don't know all the details because I know it's a painful memory and I don't want to make her relive it. The characters will be MM, my mum, entitled mum, EM, ES, entitled sister, and MD, my dad. My mum is the youngest of two girls. She and my dad went to high school together, but didn't start dating until they were both in college. It was a chance meeting that they ran into each other in a bar. Cute story. Still happily married and in love 23 years later. It all started when my mum got engaged. My auntie was so upset because she wasn't engaged first, even though she was older. Throughout all the planning, she was pouting and kind of cold towards my mum. So the day of the wedding comes. My mum is getting ready with her bridesmaids. She is marrying the guy that she had a crush on since high school. She has her perfect venue, and she's wearing her grandmother's, my great-grandmother's dress. Everything is going absolutely perfect, until my auntie starts crying. My mum tried to comfort her because she is the most selfless woman in the world. Even though she was getting married in mere hours, she was focused on her sister. A little while later, after my auntie ran off, my grandmother pulled my mum aside. Like I said, I don't know every detail. But the conversation went something like this. Hey MM, you're really making ES upset. Confused, my mum says, what did I do? You're way too happy and it's making her upset that she didn't get married before you. Pardon me? Can you just be a little less happy? My mum was in shock. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, and here was her mother telling her to be less happy so her sister didn't get butthurt. My mum's whole life, she was always told to set her accomplishments aside, so her sister felt special too. When she was younger, she was told by her parents she would never go to college because she had a hard time in school, dyslexia and ADD before professional help was available. My mum defied all odds and graduated with a master's degree. Can you guess who got all the glory for graduating from college? You guessed it, my auntie. And on this day, my mum was not having it. Look, Mum, I'm sorry that entitled sister is upset, but today is about me and my dad. MD, as in OP's dad, no incest here. We're happy, and I'm not going to hide that, or pretend I'm not, just so entitled sister won't be sad. Today is the happiest day of my life, and I'm not giving that up for anyone. My grandmother shut up after that. She did give my mother a disapproving look though. I don't even need to have to be there to see it. My mum still gets them all the time. After that, the wedding was perfect. My mother still talks about it with stars in her eyes. Now, my mother still has to deal with their crap sometimes, but she also has my dad and us kids, two of us are adults now, to help stand up for her. She is very happy, and I'm so glad she stood up for herself. There are a few stories like this that I know about, but this one makes me the saddest. I'm just glad that she didn't let it ruin her wedding day. Edit, I told my mum about all the support she got in this post and how many upvotes it has, and she got so happy, joking that she was Reddit famous and was so overjoyed that everyone was so kind. Those families that cotton wool children at the expense of their siblings just baffle me. I'm so glad your mum had a wonderful day, and look, she got you out of it. Awesome. There is a reason for this. Parents are too cowardly, or too incompetent, or too lazy to deal with a tantruming sister. They spoiled it probably, they created it, and everyone else has to kowtow to it because the parents don't want to have to put up with it. Afterwards though, did this older pouting sister have a real meltdown of any sort? It was more like 23 years of meltdowns. Recently, she demanded that my grandmother spend Christmas with her and her kids, 2 years out of every 3, while my mum and family only get to have them over for Christmas once every 3 years. Oh my god, I had something happen at my wedding similar. Well, maybe not. It wasn't fancy, just something in the park. But my sister, who I asked to be my maid of honor, did nothing to help me plan this very easy, not so complicated wedding, showing up as a surprise at the last minute, and was so butthurt that I asked my other sister to walk me down. I have a really screwed up family, so didn't really invite anyone other than the two sisters. The sister who I asked to walk me down was so helpful and paid for a lot, even though I asked her not to and without anything in return. The older sister started crying and asking why she didn't get asked. I said because you told me you didn't know if you could make it. I'm not doing last minute changes again. So she stayed for the ceremony, cried again, and left. Oh, and she wore a white dress. I also told everyone to not post pics on social media until a few days later. She posted them during the reception on her way back home, with the caption, "Tried to surprise my sister and get treated like I'm not even there. Didn't even get acknowledged for showing up." And our next post by F. Giorgio. Entitled parents send their kids to play in front of my house. So I was reminded of this a few days ago by my mother. It happened in 2011. I lived on the ground floor in a residential neighborhood. Children generally play in the road and are noisy, but this is part of life. The thing is that in 2011 there were no kids in the neighborhood. There would either be babies and toddlers who were too young, or the younger kids were now teens, and they were too old for playing football or hide and seek in the road. One summer day, I start hearing this terrible rumble outside. It is hot and my window is open, so I look out and I see a bunch of kids between 9 and 13 years old, playing loudly outside my house. I had never seen these kids before. I asked them who they were and where they lived, and one of them told me they lived 3 blocks over. So I asked them if they had any friends here, and they refused. So I told them to leave, which they did. Like I said, I can't complain when local kids play. It is their right. About 10 minutes later, the kids return. I see them and tell them to leave and not to come back. They leave, only to return a few minutes later with their entitled mother. The entitled mother was in her late 30s, early 40s, with very short shorts and a Karen haircut, even though I didn't know it was called that at the time. She was demanding to know who told her kids to leave. I look out the window and respond, "I did." Entitled mother immediately goes on a tirade. How dare I talk to her kids? How dare I order them to leave when she said they could play? On and on. I asked her where she lived, and she confirmed that they lived 3 blocks away. "YTF, don't you little brats play there then?" I ask. To receive the answer that me and my husband work all week and are tired and need some rest. We can listen to the noise. I retort, I work too, and am not obligated to listen to howling brats that don't even live here. She took offense to the word brats and threatened to sue me. I told her if you want to sue me, don't do it for calling her kids brats. I'd rather she sues me for insulting her, so frick off. She states that she will call the police, to which I answer, please do. I'll tell them how you abandoned your underage kids that were under your care. As you could guess, she didn't call the police. I never saw her or her monster kids again. Not a very exciting story, but it was my most memorable entitled parent moment so far. Lol, what's with all the dummies saying that you're in the wrong? The parents are responsible for their kids. I'd say frick off my lawn too. It must be all the Karens of Reddit. Roses are red and the sun rises at dawn. I live 3 blocks away, but let my kids play on your lawn. And our next story by Po Jasco. Entitled mum thinks if my garage door is open, she and her bratty son can search for and take what they want. I've been lurking here and have been afraid to post because I'm awkward and don't know if my stories will be as well liked as everyone else's. So here goes. I am posting from my phone, so might be some mistakes. The stars are myself from about 16 years ago. I'm 28, so I was 14. It's interesting maths. Entitled mother, my neighbor from across the street, a self-entitled mother. B5K, her 5-year-old child who is obsessed over other people's stuff. Scene, garage. During the summer between 7th and 8th grade, My parents would go to work and leave me with a giant list of chores, so overwhelming I wouldn't even try. Also, I live in Texas, so it would sometimes be too hot to try. One day, to avoid being crapped on, I decided I would attempt to do the chore, clean out the garage. My parents hoard crap and then get upset when they can't find what they want, and my stepfather just buys crap and doesn't even try to put it somewhere. So it's my job to organize the garage so that my mum can actually park her car. I'm moving stuff around for a few hours, and I'm sweaty and hot, and all it looked like I was really doing anyway was just removing the mess. I come across my tricycle from when I was younger. I put it outside and on the driveway so I can try and find a place for it later. I decide to take a break and go inside and fix some lunch. A couple minutes later, I hear rummaging in the garage and something break. I thought it was my cat. I look, and it was B5K. Sounds like a Star Wars droid name, searching through the place. And he was looking around like he just found good treasure. I'm like, "Hey B5K, where's your brother? He's grounded until Monday." "Well, you should go home and play with him. What did you break?" And B5K looks like he's going to cry. I'm like, "Listen, I don't play unless your brother is there too. Please go home." So I close the door, and I thought that was the end of it. I go back to my food and VH1 music videos. When I'm done, I go back outside, and I notice something is missing. The tricycle is gone. I knew who took it, B5K. So I get on my bike and ride it around the block. I catch up to B5K in almost no time at all. He tried to start pedaling faster, but it's a tricycle, so it's not like you can do that. I want everyone to know this. This was no plastic thing that leans back. This was made out of metal, and it looked almost like a very small bike. So anyway, I yell at the kid to stop. He starts crying and ignores me. I pedal up to him and get in front of him, and he rides into my bike and falls. I don't help him up, but I take my trike back. I put it inside the house and then go back outside to finish up in my garage. Now, from across the street to the left, I hear B5K yelling to someone. I assumed it was his older sister. She was a year behind me and didn't usually care about the stuff he complained about. So I expected her to come over here and just give me a little crap, playfully, and then go home. I go back to my chore, and then I feel someone prod me between the shoulder blades. I assumed this to be his sister, so I turned around ready for a pretty smile and a sarcastic chewing out. I was ill prepared for this, because it was entitled Mother in all her rage. "What did you steal from my son?" "Nothing. My son says you took something from him while he was playing. Where is it?" "I didn't give him a thing. He tried to steal a tricycle." "Where is it?" "Not telling you. You could have killed my boy." I look at her very confused. "He was only playing. Give him his tricycle back." "His tricycle? He got it from my garage." "Well, you're too old for it." "Look, lady, I'm just trying to finish a job so that I don't have to worry about it. Please walk away." I pulled my Simon's flip phone out of my pocket and called my mum. Entitled Mother promised to have my track back when my mother came home and picked up her little thief and left. Edit, thank you so much for my first post to ever reach a silver. Also, I did the correct maths. 28 take 16 equals 12. I swear I was 13 or 14, but I'm not sure now. I know that this happened when I was in middle school. Did she come back to speak with your mum? Did you speak to your mum about what happened? I truly don't understand how people are okay with their children taking stuff. I did. I called her. When my mum came home, she and Entitled Mother had a good talking. Thanks for the update and thanks for sharing. Now that's epic. How to Raise a Thief 101. Teach your child that it's alright to steal someone's property if they're too old for it. Facepalm, you're right, those are the worst kinds of thief. And our next story, Princess Cheetos 77. 3 entitled mothers send their kids over for food because I have too much. Backstory number 1, I have a working pantry, which means I have food that will last my family up to 3 months. It is food that we eat and use, so I'm constantly restocking and rotating it. I'm not exactly a prepper, but it does come in handy for emergencies. Backstory number 2, I've been in self-quarantine for a few weeks now, due to my compromised immune system. No one outside of our family is allowed inside the house, and we don't answer the door if we don't have to. We also have a Ring doorbell so that we can communicate with people without answering the door. Backstory 3, I used a coupon to that point that I could have been on the extreme couponing show. That's how I built up my food storage quickly. In the past, the neighborhood kids learned quickly that my son had lots of snacks that I was willing to share. In turn, their parents learned that I had a very large food storage, which I never wanted to advertise, but oh well. I didn't think it would be a problem at the time. Yeah, I was dumb. I no longer coupon with the same intensity due to my declining health, but I do smaller trips, an extra can or two each grocery order. To maintain my food storage, that is. Sorry for the novel, on to the story. Our city is in the first few days of quarantine. Schools and workplaces have been closed, but our grocery stores are still open, albeit wiped out and overwhelmed. Yesterday, the doorbell rang at about 9:30 a.m. I checked the Ring app and saw a neighbor's kid, about 5 years old, standing on my porch. So I pressed the talk button and tell him, "Hi." "Hi," he said, "I'm here for the food." Confused, I asked, "What food?" "Mommy said you had food for me," he replied. "I'm sorry, honey, but I don't. I'm sure your mom has food for you at home." "Okay, bye." He waved into the camera and left. I brushed it off because that kid was known for making stuff up, so I settled back into bed. Almost a half an hour later, the doorbell rings again, and when I check it, there are 2 kids standing there. Oh no, now there's 2 of them. One is the kid of my neighbors across the street. The other lives on the street behind me. When I greet them through the Ring app, it's the same story. Their mums told them I had food to give them. I quickly told them no and to go and talk to their mums. They said okay and went on their way. While they walked away, I sent off a text to the 3 mums. "Your kids stopped by my house saying that you told them I have food for them. I don't. Why are you telling them that? What about all the food in your food storage? What about it? You have a lot you can share? You've shared before. My food storage is enough for my family. If I had anything to spare, I would gladly share, but I don't. But you have lots of food. Again, for my family. The stores are still open. If you need food, you'll have to try your luck there. Or we could just come over and take your stuff. Yeah, I doubt you could stop us. All 3 know about my health and mobility issues. Try it, and I'll meet you on my driveway with my shotgun, an angry Rottweiler, and my even angrier husband. Are you threatening us?" No, that was just a really nice thing to say. "You threatened to steal my property, so I'm just returning the favor. Bia?" "Oh no, you called me a bad word. I think I'm gonna cry. I better drown my sadness by eating all of these yummy snacks I have in my food storage, lol." They didn't respond back, but I did hear from one of my other neighbors that Entitled Mother 1 was complaining to anyone that would listen that I'm a mean person for letting kids go hungry. Several people asked her why she was trying to take food away from an ill person. I have several chronic illnesses as well that have me more or less homebound. When she bulk buys at Costco every 2 weeks, she didn't have an answer for that and stopped complaining about me soon afterwards. She did end up going to the store to buy stuff, but was super ticked because the lines were super long and she was there for about an hour. When people send you threats like that, you should thank them for putting it in writing. Yeah, could have called the police on them. Police got involved in her new update. What? Alright, I'm gonna find this update, boys. Update: 3 entitled mothers send their kids over for food because I have too much. Original post here. Also, thank you for the kind souls for the gold. You are awesome. Thanks. Wow, my original post really blew up. Thanks to everyone for their advice and concern. I really thought that there wouldn't be more to the story, but there is. For those of you who are wondering, we live in the western region of the United States, near the Rocky Mountains. That's all I'm willing to say. Preppers and people with food storage like mine are pretty much the norm where we are. But there are people like the 3 entitled mothers that don't prepare beyond their monthly grocery trips. It's just assumed that everyone here has some sort of food storage, but as a rule, we don't ask or talk about them. After my encounter with the entitled mothers on Friday, I didn't think much of it, but I did tell my husband. He was not amused. In my post about the entitled grandma that tried to take our movie seats, I mentioned that since my health has been declining, my husband has become fiercely protective of me. He wanted to storm over and rip into all 3 of them, but I managed to convince him not to. He did ask for screenshots of the texts, just in case. I happily sent them to him. Saturday night, after I went to bed early, the neighbor who had told me that entitled Mother 1 had been complaining about me, we'll call her NN for nice neighbor, showed up on our porch with neighbor cop NC, and spoke through the screen door to my husband. Nice neighbor said that she and several other neighbors were concerned when entitled Mother 2 had basically admitted to threatening to come and take our food storage. I guess entitled Mother 2 was telling people that like it was a funny story or something. Nice Cop was there because he co-heads our neighborhood watch, and is also entitled Mother 2's brother-in-law. I've always gotten the impression that he and entitled Mother 2 don't get along. Quick note, we have several police officers as well as firemen that live in our neighborhood. In fact, I have 3 different policemen living on just my street. NC asked Hubby if we had proof of the text conversation, and Hubby sent him a copy. NC thanked him and told him he'd be speaking with his sister-in-law later that night. Hubby thanked them both and they left. This morning on Sunday, Nice Cop showed up again. He told Hubby that he'd met up with the entitled mothers and their husband, and sternly told them that with the screenshots Hubby had given him, he could arrest the 3 of them for harassing and threatening me, and that if anything happens at our house, that they would be the first on their list of people to talk to and or arrest. I don't know if he just told them that to scare them, but he knows the law better than me, so I'll go with it. He also told them that he had informed the other cops that live in the neighborhood, and that they, as well as the neighbors that were concerned in the first place, would also be watching them and to not be stupid. So that's it, for now. Nice Cop told us to call him if we had any problems with anyone, but I don't anticipate anything soon. Nice Cop admitted to Hubby that all 3 entitled mothers looked terrified after he mentioned being arrested, and their husbands were furious at them. Entitled Mother 1's husband even asked her, "How could you think that it was okay to threaten a sick person?" Entitled Mother 2's husband told her she was dumb for threatening someone who owned a shotgun. I'll update if anything else happens. These entitled mothers are just downright dumb. OP's food equals mine because I'm dumb and sharing is caring still applies. My mummy says that sharing is caring, but it only applies to people who are in need for me to share with them. And in communist and then there's just a whole bunch of Russian comments under that. Oh, I love, I mean, I don't love communism, let's not go there, boys. Chromos says, she won't let me see my kids because of COVID-19. My ex-wife has decided that I should no longer see the kids due to the outbreak. We currently have 50-50 custody. My job is doing shifts, 1 week in, 1 week from home. I currently take transit into work. She will not let me see the kids unless I'm only working from home. This goes directly against our separation agreement. Should I be contacting the police to resolve this? Am I the entitled parent not taking this virus seriously? Our normal schedule is a 2-2-5. I am proposing a swap every week. She is proposing that I can see the kids in public every day wearing a mask and I'm not allowed to touch them, and she will watch them from a distance. You might want to get some real legal advice on this one and some real healthcare advice. If your ex is at home and you're not, it's likely safer to them to stay with her, barring any extenuating circumstances that might make her home unsafe. And until this is resolved, the custody/pandemic thing, whichever is first, try to FaceTime with them every day, OP. You can still be in their life during this time. And this guy is from Ontario, Canada, because he posted in the legal advice for that one. So, I mean, what would you guys do in this situation? Personally, he's working with the public. I think it's a risk to the kids. I think there's special statutes or whatever, special circumstances being made across the world right now because of the pandemic situation. I guess, you know, it is breaking the custody agreement, but a whole bunch of stuff is being broken right now because of it. What is your opinion on that? I want to know what you guys would do if you're in this situation. Because I imagine that a lot of people would be, even people listening to this. What are you doing because of this outbreak? Spider-Man is racist. So this happened during the Halloween of 2018. My parents were going on a date because Halloween just so happens to be their anniversary. I am 17 and my little brother is 8. We had been watching the Marvel comic universe together, and he absolutely loves the movies. He was so excited to dress up in his new Spider-Man costume and to go trick-or-treating. I didn't want to go because I'm a bit old for trick-or-treating, at least in my mind. But our folks were out, and they told they'd pay me $100 to look after him and take him trick-or-treating for the night. I agreed to do so. The trouble happens about a half hour after we walk out the door. Our cast are me, little bro, racist entitled mother's kid. Now, it's probably important to the story to point out that my brother and I are African Americans. You'll see why. So we had been walking for about a half hour, and we were having a great time. I obviously would have rathered stay home, but seeing my brother so happy with his bag of candy was heartwarming. As we were walking up the street, a mother and her son dressed as Darth Vader, who were white, were walking right by us. The mother stopped in front of us and said, "Don't you think your little brother should have picked a different costume?" "Okay, why is that, ma'am?" "Well, see, he's dressed as Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's white. He isn't white, so why is he dressed as Spider-Man?" I am still keeping my cool. My brother doesn't seem to be understanding the situation. He's still bouncing around and excited to get more candy. I'm like, "Excuse me? My little brother can wear whatever he wants. It's a free country." "I know, but Spider-Man is white, and your brother is, you know, that's a bit racist. I mean, there are several black superheroes out there that could have chosen from. In fact, me and my kid just saw Black Panther together, and it was amazing. You should be Black Panther, little man. You look just, oh, that's terrible, don't say that." Now I start to raise my voice, and my brother stops bouncing. What's racist is you telling my little brother that he can't dress as Spider-Man because it makes you uncomfortable. Entitled Mother was baffled that I raised my voice at her, and her son started crying. "Oh, look what you did. You made my baby cry." Okay, I'm not going to say that one. Now, I don't know what she was implying by the term "you people," but to me, it sounded very much like an ethnic slur, and I was not okay with this at all. If you and your kid don't leave right now, I will call the police for harassment and hate speech. Get out now. "Oh, don't you think you've gotten away with this?" Entitled Mother grabs her kid and walks away in a storm of huffs and grunts. I bend down to my brother's level to make sure that he was okay. He told me that he was okay, and his smile came back almost immediately. We spent the next 10 to 15 minutes trick-or-treating without any incidents. The rest of the night was very peaceful. When I told my parents about this situation, they were shocked. They managed to find Entitled Mother's address, considering that she lived fairly close to us, and pressed charges for public harassment and hate speech. We haven't heard from them to this day. Recap, Entitled Mother thinks it's racist for my African American brother to be dressed as Spider-Man. Miles Morales is black, so shut up, Karen. This tramp is thinking of Peter Parker. There are multiple different types of Spider-Man in the comics. Don't tell her of the Marvel multiverse. Karen might explode. Her head will before she can. And if Karen learns about the Spider-Verse, we'd end up with a comic about the Karenverse, or a real-life Karenverse, which would be much worse because we already have enough Karens for one Earth. Manager bans Karen. Karen's like, "This is a Karen's level threat. Call all units right now." Alright guys, obviously there's a few things I'm not going to say in that one. I don't think anyone would go on YouTube saying that unless they're out of their mind. Obviously, once again, I don't condone the acts in a lot of these videos. It's disgusting, the behavior that some people go through, but it's important not to act like these things don't exist, you know, and call it out when we do see it. I'm not just going to censor it just because it's there, I guess. I think we need to realize that these people do exist and we need to call them out. There's no complete justification, but that's my logic there. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. I know I went off the track a little bit there, but it's fine. I hope you guys had a good night, day, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.